From the KATC Weather Lab, here's Rob's forecast.
Welcome back. Well, it's been a windy and very blustery day and the threat of severe weather throughout the day, but we have not seen much here in Acadiana. No complaints, and Eric and I are very happy to be working here this afternoon just in case to keep Acadiana safe. So let's take a look to see what's going on. First off, outside, look at this at a community fun day up in Opelousas, the North City Park. There was a fun jump that took off, and this is why I always say with those fun jumps and trampolines, you got to make sure they are staked to the ground. Winds have been gusting as high as 40 to 45 this afternoon. Somebody was in the fun jump. From what we understand, nobody was hurt. So that is certainly the good news. But you got to pay attention to the forecast. We were talking high winds for the forecast for today. So that may have been preventable. So let's take a look at the big picture. We have this impressive storm system over here in Texas, the upper level low west of Dallas. You can see the big convection exploding this afternoon and into early this evening across Texas, northeast Louisiana, but you can see coldest cloud tops are in Mississippi. And if we open it on up and take a look at the big picture, we're noticing that for the most part we're seeing drier air in the region. I'm trying to move that. There we go. Here's that drier air with that upper level low, and that may have been really throwing a wet blanket or dry blanket on the severe weather dynamics across Acadiana. But there are no complaints here, but still strong storms on the radar late this afternoon from central Louisiana, eastern Louisiana into Mississippi, where there are tornado watches there. Locally, we do have a tornado watch in effect for portions of the area, and we'll zoom in on the local Doppler radar. First off, the current watches and warnings, the threat of flooding rainfall to the north. We have tornado watch, tornado warnings up toward Jackson. Then locally, we do have a tornado watch in effect for St. Landry, Evangeline, Allen parishes up through Rapides up until 7 o'clock tonight. The other parishes that were back to the west have been dropped out of that watch area. And during the course of this afternoon, we were watching some strong storms. We had a warning for this cell or series of cells that are in the Allen Parish area up through into southern Rapides Parish. Maybe some small hail here. Certainly strong winds just around the Glenmora area, out of the KTC viewing area for the most part. And those strong storms continue through Alexandria. So no major issues locally, but Eric has been watching some of the storms on where there are any trouble spots going on right now. And Eric, what do you see going on right now?
Yeah, thankfully that warning was able to expire at the top of the hour, and now we're just dealing with some very strong storms moving through with heavy downpours, some gusty winds. We'll take a look at some of the winds that are still ongoing with the system as we turn it over to the velocities and we interrogate this just to the north of the Glenmore area. You can see up to 44-mile-an-hour wind gusts, a little bit closer to Alexandria. We have a 39 to the east of Alexandria, 48. So some very gusty winds still associated with that line of storms that is making its way up Highway 165 between Oakdale to Glenmore to Alexandria. That'll begin to push into northwestern Evangeline and then eventually Avoyelles Parish within the next half hour or so. But the bigger storms have been more or less off to our north and northeast. As we open this up a little bit, take a look at this system with all its thunder and lightning as it made its way through Vicksburg and is now heading just to the northwest of the Jackson area. It is that cell as it began to lift just to the south of Vicksburg that actually did produce a confirmed tornado, and still tornado warnings are ongoing with that system. So a very potential deadly situation with that, but it looks like the tornado has lifted, so that is the good news. Still watching a line of strong storms from Monroe down to Alexandria. Those are also producing some gusty winds. We'll take a look at what kind of winds we're seeing with that real quick. And we can see, 55 miles, 60, close to 60 miles an hour. So some very gusty winds associated with this main line as it begins to make its way through. But the good news is most of it is now up to our north and northeast, and things might finally begin to quiet down. We'll go back over to Rob to kind of time the rest of this out.
Okay, thanks, Eric. And again, if you're doing the storm tracking, notice all the swirly birds up here. These are mesocyclones in the northeastern part of the state, and this is where we think the greatest severe weather risk will be going into Mississippi as we head into the evening hours. Quick look at the high rapid reef refresh rate model. And again, if we're looking at the tornado index, it's pretty much shifting east of the area over into Mississippi. So that's where we think that tornado threat is going to be. And it looks like the severe weather dynamics will slowly weaken into this evening. But here's the storm timing through tonight. The strongest storms, Alexandria on northward. As we look at our predictive radar, we'll see a few showers and thunder showers. And again, we'll have to keep an eye on any individual cells that get going because they may show some rotation. And then it looks like a little bit more in the way of wind energy coming right around 10 o'clock tonight. So we could still see a couple of isolated severe storms that could produce wind damage, maybe a rotating storm that could produce an isolated tornado. But then as we get past midnight tonight, things will certainly be quieting down. Much nicer weather on the way. Now, the Storm Prediction Center still has western Louisiana, eastern Texas in that moderate risk, but I think we could lop this off right here on the moderate risk and also lift the enhanced risk off to the north. But we'll continue to keep an eye on things. But the main threat of those long-tracked severe tornadoes that could develop as we head into the overnight hours, extreme northeastern Louisiana into Mississippi. Winds have been the story. They've been gusting to 40 to 45 to 48 through this afternoon. They'll gradually be diminishing tonight and tomorrow. The winds will turn westerly and still be quite blustery, gusting over 30. These are wind gusts, not sustained winds. But it's going to be a breezy day tomorrow with clouds and some sun mixing in. So we'll keep rain chances high for now at 70%, 53 the morning low. So cooling off nicely tomorrow. Another breezy day. Cooler temperatures overall will top out in the upper 60s with a sun and cloud mix. Monday looks perfect. Tuesday, a good looking day. We cloud up again on Wednesday. And guess what? Another weather system that may have a severe weather threat. And we may be manning the weather lab once again with a couple of people. But just like last weekend, working with Daniel Phillips, we were both working here together, and we essentially killed the severe weather threat. So we'll take that and dodge the bullet once again. But the evening is not over with quite yet, and we'll keep an eye on those storms at least over the next several hours.